Pushrod Fury. Pushrod Fury here. We are planning a trip. We're planning a vintage trip. So, as you know, I kind of dig older bikes. I really haven't taken an overnight trip with any of the vintage bikes. So we're going to go in big. We're going to take the 1973 Harley XLH. We're going to ride it all the way across Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is huge. Normally takes about 7 hours to get from Brooklyn to my dad's place out in western Pennsylvania. But this is going to take me 3 days on the Sportster. You might be asking, why is that? Well, I'm certainly not going to ride a 51-year-old motorcycle on Route 80. You can forget that. I'm just going to shake the thing to pieces. So we're going to take back roads. The other thing is, I happened to be in an antique shop and saw a neat little collection of maps, the best of which was this. This is a 1939 SO service station map of Pennsylvania. So why choose that? Well, my dad was born in 1939. And another neat thing, of course, there were no interstates in 1939. So we are going to go old school, mostly ditch the navigation. Yes, I'll still have my phone and I'll still have Google Maps because I'm really not looking to get completely stranded. But the trip planning and the navigation will be done by map, and I'm going to do it the way that I used to do back in the 80s and 90s when I would go for long distance rides, multi-day rides. And that is, you plan on a map, and then so that I would remember, I would write down the town and where I'm going to turn next and about how many miles I'm going to go before I get there. So that's at least how I did it decades ago. And let's see how this works. So let me show you the map and show you what it looks like without any interstates on it. Here we are. There's the map of Pennsylvania. And I pretty much know how to get from Brooklyn to Pennsylvania on roads that were around before 1939. So I can do that. However, once I get to here, Port Jervis in New Jersey, we are going to head north to Damascus, and we are going to pretty much stick to a route like this. So I'll post these route numbers. They're very, very tiny. I'd use a magnifying glass for this stuff. And get onto Route 6. And Route 6 is supposed to be really enjoyable, but I'm not going to go the whole way on Route 6. Instead, we're going to go over to Wellsboro here and then scooch down to this area for some camping on night 1. And as you'll notice, there's no interstates. There's no turnpike. It must have taken ages. No wonder the federal government was like, we got to have a highway system. This is bonkers. And so when you have to travel this way, nothing is a straight line. You see the roads follow the contours of the mountains, or the paths of the mountains, I should say, and follow rivers and things like that, like you see over here. Of course, this is going to be a gorgeous ride from Port Jervis up to Damascus, about a 40-mile ride following the Delaware River. That's gorgeous riding there, really popular riding route. So that's what we're going to do. I have put a total of 16 miles on that Sportster, and I hope that it all stays together. So with that said, let's see how this goes. As you've probably guessed, you can't just jump on a 51-year-old motorcycle that's been sitting for a couple of decades and just hope for the best. A ton of prep work went into this. I started on this project back in March, and this trip is on Labor Day weekend. It took months and months of working evenings and weekends, taking the bike apart and back together again. Repairs to the starter motor system, bent, broken components in the clutch and primary drive, and just doing a service. A service required at 10,000 miles for this bike. So that's going to include everything from wheel bearings, swing arm service, carburetor cleaning, changing the points and condenser, verifying the timing, adjusting the tappets. All of those services had to get done front to back on this bike. Rebuild the calipers, or the caliper, the master cylinder, and make sure the bike is in top mechanical order. And I also did as much as I could to the electrical to make sure, verify there's no resistance between the traces. So from one end of a circuit to the other, to make sure the path to ground is clear, to make sure there weren't any broken wires. All of that had to be done to make the bike safe and as reliable as possible before heading out on the road. And I did do a quick 16-mile run shakedown. And then the day before the trip, I did another 100-mile shakedown just to make sure that nothing was missing. And nothing really popped up until this fuel stop. So you'll notice that a little bit of time passes between me filling up the tank and the next scene. And that's where I dug into the electrical gremlins that popped up. It turned out to be a relatively minor issue that was easy to fix after the trip, but I had to make some quick temporary countermeasures to make sure I was somewhat safe and on the road again.
this point in the trip, I'm following Route 42 north in New York along the Delaware River. There's amazing scenery of the river and the valley it sits in. This can be a really great road when there's no cars, so you can see I had a good lucky stretch where there's no one in front of me. There's also places to pull over to get some great pictures for your social media, and also there's a bald eagle observation area as well. This is a really, really pretty road, and you can ride it as far as you want, or you can choose a stopping point and then turn around and head back. But it's really, really gorgeous, and I highly recommend going up one side through New York, crossing over the bridge, and going back down through Pennsylvania. Here I am exiting 42 and about to dive from New York into Pennsylvania.
Lost power to my headlight, wired it up through, wired up the driving lights through the charger. That's all I could do. And I am running way behind, so I'm trying to get, because I don't have a tail light. I do have a brake light, but just trying to get this thing to the campground tonight and then off to my dad's place in the morning. And I'm averaging 35 miles per gallon. I'm supposed to be getting 55. It's not running rich. I don't know what's going on, but if it was predictable, well, it wouldn't be that much fun. There it is.
desert with its life underground and the perfect skies above. Under the cities lies the hard native ground, but the humans will give no love. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la
Do a little top off on the primary. It was missing. I saw it dripping in the parking lot. It dripped there too. So I wanted to check the level. And turns out it was only down about 3 ounces, maybe 2, which is still a lot. So I topped that off. Oil level was fine. I think it burned like 1/8 of a quart of oil through the engine. The biggest problem we ran into though yesterday, losing the lights. So I lost the headlight and the tail light. Brake light still works. I'm not sure where the problem sits, but I was able to wire up the running lamps, so they're on at least. But it got dark without a tail light, which was pretty sketchy. So anyway, this is day 2. I've taken the 73 on the non-interstate system, and it was, other than the lights malfunctioning and getting to the campground at dark, it was a pretty good ride. I mean, Pennsylvania's got amazing roads, so we'll see what today has in store for us. I gotta get all this stuff packed up. All right, I'll see ya. So we came up from New York City, across the George Washington Bridge, went over to the famous 9W Market for breakfast, and then shot across 17A to Port Jervis. And then we got to follow the Delaware River up to Damascus. And this is definitely not the way to do this, but it was the way I did it. So I bounced around through these roads. I had to stop and ask directions. I did have to take my phone out because some of the road names changed a little bit. But made my way up to 106. I went through Lawton and Towanda, and then took 414. And this 414 route is unbelievable. So pretty. And followed that down through Liberty, and then came down through this area and shot down 184 to 84. And that's when I was supposed to go from English Center to Little Pine, and there's a bridge outing there. So what I had to do instead is backtrack and come down to 220 and then back up 44 and then up to Little Pine, which is there. So I'm going to zoom out. We're about halfway through the trip. I'm going to come down the camp road to 44
and I'm going to take 44 all the way up to 6. And I'm going to take 6 all the way to, just going to stay on 6 until I get to 18, and I'm going to wiggle my way down to Hermitage, and that's it.
Route 44 in Pennsylvania is bonkers. The GoPro does a good job of straightening the road out, so you really can't get quite the feel for the twists and turns in the hills, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I pulled out of Little Pine State Park onto 44 and headed north. Not a lot of gas stations along the way, but I rode from Little Pine all the way up to Route 6. And as you can see, the road is gorgeous, the scenery is beautiful, the weather was perfect, and almost no cars on this road. And this is about midday. Absolutely recommend, if you haven't ridden Route 44 in central Pennsylvania, it is a must-do. Try it out. It's an absolute blast, and there are so many little side roads that take you on to even greater adventures from there. But simply stick it on 44, head up to 6, and then make a directional change from there is totally okay and definitely worth the trip. While I was having my coffee, I was talking to some of the locals, sort of shared some details on my time traveling trip. The neatest thing happened. A few minutes later, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, a guy walks right up to me and says, "Hey, is the time machine out there yours?" And I looked at him totally perplexed, like, how did you know that? And it turns out the folks I was speaking with had sent him a message and let him know that there was a time traveler at the coffee shop. So we chatted about old Sportsters, motorcycling, and the great roads of Pennsylvania. And it was a good break. All right, back on the road.
And I carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream that he kept here. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky. I've got a song, I've got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry. I've got a song, I've got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it loud. If it gets me nowhere, I go there proud. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Share it if you want me to. If you're going my way, I'll go with you. Moving me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Moving me down the
I checked, there's going to be rain all across this area of Pennsylvania Saturday. 70 to 90% chance of rain. So it looks like I'll ride Friday, sit still Saturday, and ride again Sunday. But I'll tell you, this has been quite an experience. Really frustrating when you get to an intersection where the street signs are missing or it's just not clear where you go. So I will run navigation because there's a lot of road changes. There's no way I can put this on paper cleanly. I mean, there is a way. People have done it in the past, but it's extremely frustrating now that I've been conditioned to use navigation. But that's the route that I'll take. I could go back the same way I came, but that would be boring. So I'm going to give this a go and keep you updated along the way. All right. Well, I spent a couple days with my dad. We did some troubleshooting and found two things that went wrong with the bike on the way out there. The electrical problem, the root cause was the ignition switch. The ignition switch was the original one to the bike, and the contacts had come loose and were shorting out and causing the circuit breaker to trip and stay tripped for the headlight. Luckily, Harley runs a separate circuit for the brake light, so I still had a functioning brake light system. So what I did is I wired my running lights to my battery tender charger. It just so happened I had a spare wire, which is very strange, but I had that and I was able to fit it over the positive terminal on the battery tender, so I had driving lights. The other issue was the starter motor. The starter motor is getting worse and worse, and it just felt like it was failing. I wasn't sure why. I thought maybe it was the starter, so we took the starter out, cleaned the commutator, ran a whole bunch of checks to make sure that we didn't have a problem with like shorted components in the starter, and we didn't find anything wrong with the starter. But as we dug further into it, it appeared it was the starter clutch had failed, and I believe that was caused by me accidentally trying to start the bike when it was on the center stand, but in fourth gear. I think that just put too much stress on the starter clutch. Those were the issues we ran into, and at least got the root cause identified, so I knew what I had to fix when I got home.
white horses and ladies by the score, all dressed in satin and waiting by the door. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. White lace and feathers, they made up his bed. A gold-covered mattress on which he was led. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. He went to fight wars for his country and his king, of his honor and his glory. The people would sing. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Ooh, he was. A bullet had found him. His blood ran as he cried. No money could save him, so he lay down and he died. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Ooh, what a lucky man he was.
Hey, morning.
Taking off, huh?
Well, at least packing up and threatening to. If you get, at least I get another hour or so east.
Yeah, you can stay behind it.
Exactly.
I don't think, I don't think you want to drive through it.
This is not waterproof.
No.
So, Yeah, do not want to test the.
Yeah, my first experience with the old Ironhead Sportster was back when I had a Yamaha.
Uh-huh.
I'm coming out with Route 10, and
weak. I'm on the run, no time to sleep. I've got to ride, ride like the wind, to be free again. And I've got such a long way to go to make it to the border of Mexico. So I'll ride like the wind, ride like the wind. I was born the son of a lawless man. I always spoke my mind with a gun in my hand. Live my lives, come down 10, gonna ride like the wind. And I've got such a long way to go to make it to the border of Mexico. So I'll ride like the wind, ride like the wind, gonna ride like the wind. Accused and tried and told her, hey, there's nowhere in sight. When the church bells rang, never was the kind to do as I was told. Gonna ride like the wind before I get old. It is the night, my body's weak. I'm on the run, no time to sleep. I've got to ride, ride like the wind, to be free again. And I've got such a long way
Okay, we're going to try to do, what is this? Day 4, end of day 4. So we're doing a return trip. I want to point out that this map is even like before FM radio. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Dad was a little baby. All right, let's see where we started. So Pops lives over here. And essentially what we did is we took 58 to 208 and followed this along. I remember going through Emlenton and up to Elk City, and then 322, and this is where we left 322. Oops, sorry. Continue down 322, sorry, to Dubois. And then up 255 past Penfield. This is where I changed my mind. I didn't want to go into this area. I didn't want to go into the south east of Pennsylvania. I wanted to stay in the north. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and my little paper trail shows the path. So it kind of makes a figure 8 in a way. But I wanted to point out 255 to Penfield, and then up to Weedville, and no, I didn't get a picture. And then on to 555, you can see the squiggles. And then this beautiful stretch of road that follows a river, 555 to Driftwood. And this is all amazing stuff. Then you go up 872 to here to Wharton. And then you have this totally nuts 15-mile stretch, beautiful as can be, no other cars. And it's just about to run out of gas. Here is also where you can do, it's dark sky territory, so you can do some stargazing. If you camp there overnight, there's a state park right there, you can tell by the little tree. Then you can just go back onto 44 for a second, a couple hundred yards, and then took this little route up to 6. And I had to decide how far I wanted to go for the day. And I happened to roll through Wellsboro, and I stayed at the Canyon Motel, which is great. Simple motel, updated, modern, and just really comfortable. And a lot of people use it as a base camp. And then today, after the rain cleared, the rain was moving this way all day. And so I waited for the rain to clear up, and then I followed the rain until I caught up to it and realized that I couldn't really pace myself slow enough. So I just stopped for the night. So let me show you. I took 6 all the way across. Keep in mind, I don't think I backtracked much on 6. Then I wanted to depart 6 right at Camptown, tiny little road. And yes, there is a Camptown race there. I don't think it's the Camptown race. And then to 106, past Rushville and Lawton. And I went really out of my way. And I took this road at Elk Lake. And that came down to Route 92. So that is going to be 706, I believe. Oops. To 92. There. And then I took 92 up. And it goes underneath Modern 81. You can't see that here. And it takes this little tiny road, 374. And that is twisty as can be, following a river. You can see the river there. To 106. And then from 106 I came into Carbondale and stopped at the Anthracite Motel and stayed in an overpriced room. So super close to exiting Pennsylvania. And I'll just shoot straight across, come in south of Damascus, and then follow the river down to Port Jervis tomorrow. So that is day 3 and 4 of the trip, so the return trip. We're just about ready to hit the 1,000-mile mark for this trip. So if anyone ever asked me, hey, do you want to do a 1,000-mile motorcycle ride around Pennsylvania? I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm never doing that. Oh my God, it's the best ride ever. This is so good. So good. Modern maps or old maps, nothing changed much in the past 85 years, so you can get around. Stay tuned for more. All right, I'm back from the 1,000+ mile trip around Pennsylvania, and I wanted to show you all the gear that I brought, just in case it's helpful to anybody to know what you might be able to fit on a Sportster. So let's get started. First is a 2-gallon fuel bag. I would keep that, well, didn't get it all the time, but 1.5 gallons of fuel in there fit perfect. Oops. This is the contents of the left saddlebag. Got my jumper pack, piece of inner tube that I ended up using as an insulator, stand coaster, spare turn signal, spare headlight, Loctite, extra spark plugs, didn't need those, tie down, secure points, paper funnels, definitely bring these with you, blue shop towels. I brought 1 quart of oil, and I used a total of 12 ounces of oil out of that. a mini can of chain lube, drinking water, some food, extra brake fluid, which I ended up using because I bled my brakes, my GoPro kit, this is my shaving kit and my belt, Velcro, and some paracord. And then in the other saddle bag, I kept the cover, a lock to lock it up at night, duct tape, which I ended up using, but it kind of all welded together, air pressure gauge, spare fuel filter, spare tail and brake lights, some shop rags, some aluminum foil, which I used, set of wrenches, a little plastic brush, which I used, a set of flat, ultra thin wrenches, and a tool to adjust the shock. This tool can also be used on the primary cover to add oil. This is my multimeter, my auxiliary air pump, which I use to correct tire pressure because the temperature dropped throughout the trip. And this is my tool roll. In the tool roll, I've got, oops, let's see, a JIS screwdriver, flat blade, adjustable, variety of sockets including 1/2 inch, 9/16, and 3/4. Got a bunch of little goodies in here, pliers, and a socket wrench. And then in my Wolfman bag, which is awesome and waterproof, start over here with my full set of rain gear, my clothes, more rain gear, sleeping bag, sandals, tent, sleeping pad, food, some patches, my sleeping cocoon. You put that, kind of go inside of that, and then you go in your sleeping bag. Pillow, another pillow. This is the bag I put all the camping stuff in. I don't know if you can see that, but I put that, and then I put that inside of the Wolfman bag. That's my little cooking kit, mostly only used for making coffee. And kind of look at it all spread out. Looks like a yard sale. Yeah, a little over prepared, but better than under prepared. And everything seemed to work out okay. So the bike works. It's got, I don't know if it's an issue with the battery or the starter, but we'll figure that out. And it's got an issue with the ignition switch where the lights won't stay on, but the taillight worked. So luckily I had the driving lights wired to the battery tender circuit. So, or I moved them to that circuit. So that's that. I'll give you another shot of the bike. There she is, the time machine. We had a lot of fun out there. And thanks for joining me on a journey. All right, we'll see you.